If you enjoy this video, please remember to like and subscribe, and if you would like to support the channel on Patreon or PayPal, the links are listed below. In 1925, the world watched in awe the film adaptation of Arthur Conan Doyle's 1912 novel of the same name, The Lost World. The film would be the first feature-length film that would feature stop-motion animation. Willis O'Brien would be the forerunner in the art of stop-motion. The Lost World was produced and distributed by First National Pictures. Willis O'Brien would further show that he was the master of stop-motion in the groundbreaking 1933 film King Kong, which progressed the art of stop-motion and brought it to new heights. O'Brien would inspire the next stop-motion great, Ray Harryhausen, who would bring stop-motion to the forefront of popular cinema. The Lost World would inspire many film greats, including Irwin Allen, who was just a boy when The Lost World was released. When we hear the name Irwin Allen, one might straightaway think of his title of the Master of Disaster, who directed epics like The Poseidon Adventure and The Towering Inferno, or even The Swarm, which would be a box office disaster, followed by an even bigger box office bomb beyond The Poseidon Adventure. Originally, Universal planned to remake the 1925 silent version, with the director of The Creature from the Black Lagoon, Jack Arnold, directing. But according to friend and former star John Agar, the studio cancelled the project due to Arnold's health issues. In 1959, Irwin Allen purchased the rights to Doyle's novel for $100,000 and was planning to do a film adaptation of Arthur Conan Doyle's classic adventure novel, The Lost World. The story had been adapted a number of times on film, but Irwin Allen wanted to stay true to the original novel, capturing the spirit of the story, and Allen's Lost World film would be the first sound version of Arthur Conan Doyle's classic tale. Irwin Allen had big plans and high hopes for The Lost World, and the film would feature groundbreaking stop-motion effects, exotic jungle locations, and would also feature an impressive cast, which would feature Victor Mature, Robert Mitchum, Trevor Howard, and Gilbert Roland. Irwin Allen would hire Charles Bennett to help adapt the book into a script and commissioned stop-motion effects master Willis O'Brien, who worked on the 1925 version of the novel. Allen announced that he wanted to start filming on the 15th of October of 1959. With O'Brien's creative input, Irwin Allen's film would be a mega success at the box office. With O'Brien, Allen would work alongside him on many conceptual design sketches of dinosaurs. Unfortunately, due to 20th Century Fox's expensive Cleopatra epic, the budget of Lost World would have to be cut and scaled down to a third of the film's initial budget, and so Allen's clear attempt to make a faithful adaptation of Doyle's novel would fail, meaning that Irwin Allen's version of the novel would not fully be realized on film. Buddy Adler, the head of 20th Century Fox, would give Irwin Allen just $1.5 million, which was not a lot for a film of this size, and was very disappointing to Allen because he had such big ideas and plans for the film. The film was filmed in CinemaScope, which was an attempt by 20th Century Fox to replicate the success of Disney's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea 6 years earlier, which took full advantage of the CinemaScope process. Unfortunately, due to budget cuts, 20th Century Fox could not afford to do stop-motion effects, and Willis O'Brien would leave the project. So to keep the dinosaurs in the film, they had to settle with using a variety of monitor lizards, iguanas, and crocodiles, and gluing on plastic horns and spikes onto the reptiles to make them look like prehistoric dinosaurs. This method of using real reptiles was used and proved to work for the movie's Journey to the Center of the Earth, which was a big success for 20th Century Fox. Unfortunately, in The Lost World, the reptiles, which were filmed against a rear projection screen, aren't nearly as convincing as the reptiles in Journey to the Center of the Earth. This method of filming animals against a screen would work well for Irwin Allen for TV shows like The Land of the Giants. In The Lost World, Irwin Allen makes great use of stock footage, and he would utilize stock footage from the 20th Century Fox vault for episodes of his various TV shows, including The Time Tunnel and Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. For The Lost World, he would make good use of matte paintings as well. The stock footage for The Lost World was also used in the 1970 movie When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth. The Lost World in 1960 would revolve around Professor George Edward Challenger, who takes a team with him to prove the existence of dinosaurs. The team travel to Venezuela and land and get stranded on a plateau deep within the Amazon jungle. The plateau is inhabited by cannibal natives, carnivorous plants, giant spiders, and of course, dinosaurs. Even with a smaller budget, The Lost World would feature an impressive cast lineup, and let's face it, Allen would never disappoint when it came to having an impressive cast of well-known and respected actors. The film would feature actors like Michael Rennie as Lord Roxton, an experienced big game hunter who joins in on the expedition. Rennie would work with Irwin Allen yet again 5 years later in the Lost in Space Season 1 episodes The Keeper, Parts 1 and 2, as The Keeper. The stunning Jill St. John was cast as Jennifer Holmes, the daughter of the owner of Global News, who joins the expedition. David Hedison was cast as Ed Malone, an aspiring journalist who works for the Global News, who volunteers to join in on the expedition. David Hedison, a year before, would star in the 1958 horror sci-fi The Fly. Hedison was very reluctant about making the film, especially after seeing Jill St. John on set, dressed in a pink outfit, with a poodle on set, which didn't do much to make him think differently. He also thought the script was very poor, but nevertheless, he applied himself to the role. Irwin Allen, after working with him, would even offer him a lead role in his next film, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, in 1961, but Hedison would turn down the offer. The Lost World would also feature acting legend Claude Rains as Professor George Edward Challenger, the short-tempered leader of the expedition. Other actors to appear included Fernando Lamas, Richard Hayden as Professor Summerlee, who is mainly remembered in film for playing Max Detweiler in the box office hit The Sound of Music. Other actors to appear included Ray Strickland, Jay Novella, Colin Campbell, Burton White, and Bettina Marcus as the native girl. Interesting to note that actress Bettina Marcus would reprise her role as the native girl in the Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea episode, Turn Back the Clock. With Irwin Allen, his films, especially The Lost World, would focus mainly on special effects, not the characters, and it's pretty clear in the film that characters aren't of much importance to Allen. The film isn't really scientifically accurate in its portrayal of various different species of dinosaurs, especially with the names of the dinosaurs, like the Iguanus tyracus, which is portrayed by an iguana with glued-on horns, Protostegosaurus, and Centra tyrannus, which is portrayed by a monitor lizard with a glued-on frill and plates, Ceratopspinus, portrayed by a spectacled caiman, and an alligator with glued-on horns, a small tail, and a small sail, and the baby Centrotyrannus is portrayed by a tokay gecko. And lastly, a Mexican red-knee tarantula portrays a giant spider. Interesting to note that Professor Challenger is supposed to be the zoological expert, but he constantly misidentifies dinosaurs. For the interior scenes, several large interior sets, originally constructed for Fox's 1959 hit Journey to the Center of the Earth, were used. Scenes from The Lost World were reused in the Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea episode, Turn Back the Clock. Dell Movie Classic would produce a comic book of the movie. The Lost World was certainly a labour of love for Irwin Allen, and I think if he had the budget, he would have made an impressive looking film, and it would have been nice to have stop motion dinosaurs in the film, instead of various reptiles and bits and pieces glued on them. And the impressive lineup of veteran actors, led by Claude Rains and Michael Rennie, are pretty much wasted and sidelined, and the film fails in the development of its characters, who come across one-dimensional and stereotypical. I enjoyed watching The Lost World, but the film failed to keep me totally invested in the plot and its characters. Regardless, I have enormous respect for Irwin Allen as a director, and I can see what the film could have been with a larger budget, which wasn't Irwin Allen's fault, but the studio's. Irwin Allen would even sell a TV series based on the film, much like he did with Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, but he was unsuccessful. My name's Jonathan. Thanks for watching.